This podcast is brought to you by Rising Phoenix alongside the Milano Cortina 2026 Paralympic Winter Games.
For me, snowboarding has given me everything, you know?
I just like going fast and doing everything as quickly as I can when it comes to that sort of stuff and deal with the consequences when they happen.
You do have the crashes and you do get hurt. If you don't want it, you're not gonna stick it out.
It's sacrifice, isn't it, of one form or another, and believing in your own mission. We're here to be the best.
Good evening, Rising Phoenix world. We are working on our very first podcast that incorporates two friends who were teammates. Welcome, Ollie and James, to the show.
Thank you, sir. What's the car you've got in the corner of your screen, sir?
That is my race car that I drive and race and work on. And as I'm looking at you guys through the screen, it looks like you guys are in a gym, but it is Sunday and you're not currently working out. So what are you doing?
We're talking to you, mate.
Well, what brings you to Edinburgh?
We're up here for the kitting out, Paralympics GB kitting out. To get all our kit and do some media stuff before heading out for our pre-games camp and then heading straight to Cortina after that.
How many camps have you done this in the last, I guess, month or two?
We've been racing, to be fair. So we had our last camp in November. And then November, maybe we had one in December, and then we've just had World Cups. So we've been at races. We just got back from our last race in Canada a week ago. So we've had a bit of downtime before then we go away and have our final prep camp before the
Probably
games.
got another week, haven't we?
Yeah.
Week 6-7 days after when we get into next week.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys have any off time in the next week, or is it just push?
We have a few days. We've got a few days after this, and then I think on the 23rd, I think we fly. So we've got just under a week, I think.
So my first question is to Ollie. Okay, so we already understand that James is already on the team. What made everybody else be like, you know what? He was the first para snowboarder to make the team in the British Paralympic team. So, Ollie, how did he convince the other teammates or the other team members to allow you to join him and compete?
So I basically, coming from doing racing such as yourself, obviously you're in motor racing now, I come from bike racing, and I think they at least saw I had a bit of a gun-ho, balls out, leave everything on the line kind of attitude to how I started my career, if you like.
James, what was your first impressions of Ollie?
We saw a video of this lad just sending stuff, and we were like, Jesus, and through another friend who's a snowboard instructor. So Ollie was ripping, and then we obviously invited him on. And it was a bit raw. It was a bit raw to say the least. But we just we were riding the board across, and we're like, well, it's not safe to ride the board across yet. But there were some rollers down the side, and we were like, look, we want you to start here and finish here. Work out. You ride bikes and stuff. You know how to get over rollers and jumps and stuff. We had to drag him off at the end of the day one. He'd non-stop, tops off, sweating, hiking up. We're on a glacier, and he's hiking up and doing it, and then coming back round, doing it again, and we had to drag him off the mountain at the end of the day. And we were actually, he's got a bit of work ethic here. I think we might be able to do something with this. So that's where it started.
I had to do as many as I can.
Yeah, and that was it. He just cracked on,
How would you describe each other's skills?
This dude's the hardest working dude that I've met in any sort of team sort of dynamic or environment. And I think persistence is everything, and a little bulldog style determination of wanting to, knowing first enough that you're good enough to win and you're good enough to be that top person and in the mix all the time, and then putting in whatever it takes to try and get the job done, and some years and sometimes work better than others, but you know, we've had a few people come and go on teams, and you can see the reasons why people stick around and why people don't, and it's evident from the start.
So, James, what would you say about Ollie's skills?
Yeah. It's like I always say, he's either the fastest person on the course or he's blown out. Like he's like it's all or nothing, you know. And he'll turn up, and from the get go, he's absolutely ripping. So like for me, I like to methodically sort of work stuff out, and it's good that I've got someone who turns up and is ready to have it, you know. So it pushes me. So yeah, like I say, he's either the fastest or he's blown out. And if he's the fastest out of everyone on that track at that day, you know. But it's right on the limit.
Always.
I feel like you guys push each other pretty good.
Yeah, man.
For sure. Yeah.
James, you are the very first British pair of snowboarders. Is that correct?
To represent Paralympic GB at the Paralympics. Yeah.
Let's go. So that's an amazing thing in itself. How did you? Did you when you were younger? Did you into snowboarding, or what made you decide to try snowboarding?
No, just a skateboarder. I was just a poor skateboarder. Didn't have money to go on expensive snowboard trips. So I just skateboarded. And it wasn't until I was, I think, 18 or 19 that I managed to have enough money to go on a snowboard trip with the lads. And just fell in love with it, you know, being in the mountains and getting out on the snowboard. And yeah, just done that, like snowboard trips with the lads. And then I bumped into two other guys that were starting to set up the Paralympic, like Paralympic GB snowboard team. So then they asked me if I wanted to, like, just met them in the pub, and they asked me if I wanted to join, and I obviously said yes. And then we found a coach, and then yeah.
So knowing that I have no arms, do you think it's possible for me to do what you guys do?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, bruv.
We
Easy.
already got an Australian guy, Sean. He's a good mate of ours. Sean's an absolute G.
Mm-hmm.
He lost both his arms in an accident.
Because I was guessing the fall would be the hardest part for me or him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When he slams,
It's not nice to watch.
Wow. Well, so there is a chance that I could
more than.
All right, Ollie. Let's ask you a question then. The same kind of as the James. Okay, did you just wake up one day and like, hey, I'm going to do snowboarding, or did you two have a skateboard background?
I also had a skateboard background for sure. I'm youngest of three. I've got two older sisters. When I was born, they were already going on skiing holidays. You know, like once a year, once every couple of years or something like that. So I was kind of already brought into that world, but obviously I was skiing.
Ooh.
I started skating then maybe aged 8, I discovered it. And kind of was like one of the first things that I did for a sport that was mine, was for me. Do you know what I'm saying? So when I then next went on the mountains was the first time I really saw like snowboarders on the mountain, and I'd ever wanted to ski again. So I made a conscious effort to move over to snowboarding, and kind of did that every
wise
time.
choice.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Do you think it is like more of an adrenaline thing? Because I know you love cars and motorbikes and superbike racing, and maybe it kind of gives you the same-ish feeling.
The thing is, you say that, but actually everything else that you do, you're facing forward. And so I think that it's whatever you feel comfortable with. At the end of the day, all jokes aside, we appreciate people just getting out and enjoying the mountain and doing what they do and doing what they love. It don't really matter what, you know, how it goes and which way you want to do it.
So tell me more about your racing. Kind of, is it a habit or a love?
Come from a family that are massive petrol heads, and my old man used to race bikes just, you know, when he was young adult, kind of just club racing and stuff. And so I grew up in that environment. I was riding bikes before I was doing anything else, maybe 2-3 years old. Again, because I'm the youngest of three, my sisters already had motorbikes, like a little Pee-wee 50 type thing. And obviously it was me getting out to hang out with my old man. Do you know what I mean? And doing something together that we love doing. And I grew up with that adrenaline kind of side of life. I think my dad took me on a car seat at like 18 months old to the World Superbikes in Donington on a motorbike, which you wouldn't be able to do nowadays. And apparently when I got there, I was asleep. So I obviously liked it. I just like going fast and doing everything as quickly as I can when it comes to that sort of stuff and deal with the consequences when they happen.
How fast are you going down the mountain or the course?
It's faster than me. How fast are you going down the mountain?
I don't have a clue, to be honest. I don't really know, to be honest.
Maybe like 60 mile an hour at times at best.
I don't really know, to be honest.
On a real steep bit of course. The thing is, they don't like our courses being too fast. So they obviously get controlled a bit with the turns that are put in them. But if you just straight line down a nice old steep pitch, I reckon a good 60, mate, with a good wax, something like that.
Okay, so I got, I guess, 2 questions about that. One of them for James, one of them for Ollie. James, I'll ask you this one. When he just brought up wax. So tell us, what are you using wax for?
So you wax, you get the boards prepped. We have a wax tech that does it for us. So he'll wax the bottom of the boards, and he's looking at different weather conditions. So he uses different waxes for different weather conditions and different snow conditions. And it's basically to try and you wax the board and you scrape it, and it's to disperse the water. So when the board's going across the snow, it's melting the snow. And you want that water to disperse from the bottom of your board. So that wax helps it run off the board as you're going along the snow. So it makes you, if you get it right, it will make you go a lot faster. And that's what our sport's all about. It's very...
it's a very scientific-based thing that you don't even realise is a whole thing until you get into this world.
It's massive. It might not win you the race, but it'll certainly lose you the race if he gets it wrong.
So that's what he is. Your guy who waxes the board. I don't know if he has official title, but the guy who does all the prep on your equipment. That's his job to make sure, no matter what, whether it's artificial or real snow or whatever, to make sure that that's perfect. What would you say is your? Let's go with Ollie. What's your strong part of the race? Is it the beginning, the end, the middle?
Well, it ain't the start, is it? After the start, anything else after the start, I'm quite happy with. Anything where I've got to move my body a bit quicker and a bit more dynamic, and the start, I'm learning still.
Are you doing any tricks?
We're not allowed, mate.
What? Allowed.
Yeah, it's not fast enough, and there's no freestyle Paralympics.
60 miles per hour is pretty quick.
Yeah. But it slows you down, doesn't it? You need to be dynamic. You need to be like a little ninja.
Ollie, tell me about your first time on a snowboard. Was it just awesome, or just like a big crash mess?
It was nice to have the opportunity to go snowboarding. I did a lesson with my dad in the morning, as in we got an instructor, and obviously I fell over heaps, and so did my dad, and I think my dad gave up on that, even though he tells me he used to be a pro skater for Oxbow skateboards. I swear they never made skateboards, but anyway. I was in Squaw Valley in Tahoe, and I decided to go out for the afternoon with everyone, and obviously do what everyone does when they're learning and struggle and crash all the time. And then when it came to closing the lifts at the end of the day, I was at the top of the lift, and it took me ages to get down. And so I ended up getting told by the patrol people a good couple of times, like, "You sure you don't want us to give you a lift or whatever?" And I'm like, "No, mate, I'll be all right." And then I think about an hour in, they put me on the back of the snowmobile and took me back, which I still think is the only time I've ever been on a snowmobile, apart from when we've had like tows in places. Yeah, wow. Mad that, innit? Yeah. They obviously weren't very happy with me, but here we are.
Look at where you're at. This is amazing. James, let's talk about your childhood just a little bit. Did you know about Paralympic sports when you were young, or how did you kind of get into that?
Yeah, no, I didn't really. No, I didn't follow any Paralympic sport. Like I've got a twin brother, and I've got 2 younger brothers, and then I've got 3 older stepbrothers. So, and I just got treated the same. Like, it was like, you go and play sport with everyone else and do whatever you do. So, I didn't really know about Paralympic sport at all growing up. And then, it wasn't until, especially snowboarding. So snowboarding wasn't even a choice, It didn't start until Sochi. So I was an adult then anyway. And then I still didn't know about it until I bumped into Owen Pick and Ben Moore, who I went to the first games with in Korea. And that was the first time my category was in it. So it wasn't an option to do para snowboard before that anyway.
So this question is for both of you guys, is what do you think it took for you guys to make it to the games after you took up snowboarding?
A lot of commitment, like being able to, for me personally, it was like trying to find funding and support and to have the opportunity to then go and train. So, and then it's changed slightly, but it's still that putting in the hard work and putting in the graft to,
You was back on building site, weren't you? Straight from training.
Like going into, up until my first games, I was on a building site. I like trained back on a building site. So it was a bit hard graft, but I've taken that in after, like, once I've managed to do this full time. I've taken that into the gym, and all my training is put in that hard work and graft, and it pays off. You know what I mean?
For real.
So, Ollie, we're going to kind of ask the same question for you. Is when you were a child, did you know about Paralympic sports?
No, I did a bit of football with the feet, not the hands. Played a bit of like all the school sports and stuff. I love sports though, mate. And then I was skating, dude. I was skating, and then my old man got me into bike racing, so I was bike racing. Dude, I didn't even know really what border cross was until about 10 years ago. And I see it every now and again. And I was like, oh, it actually looks all right. Even when I applied to get on the team, I still didn't know that there was no freestyle or anything. So, but again, we found ourselves here, haven't we? One way or another.
And you're on this amazing journey. This is to both of you guys. Who inspired you guys to push yourself to get to where you're at? And you can't say each other.
I haven't needed to get inspiration. Like, I've always been able to, like, just get my head down, like, know what I need to do and crack on and do it. You know what I mean?
Was there somebody in the sport that you guys looked up to?
Nah.
We just wanted to beat all of them.
Yeah. You know what it's like, dude. I didn't know anybody before I come in. I come from racing bikes. When I realised that I probably wasn't able to race bikes to the same level that I was at or trying to get to, which is just British Championship stuff. Mm-hmm. I didn't expect to be. I never thought coming from England you could be a snowboard professional as such. Skating, all that sort of stuff. I just wanted to race bikes, mate. And then when this all happened, it was just lucky that it was a couple of days before Christmas, so I was already meant to go snowboarding. I think it's just your path of fun and a bit of a purpose with something, with an opportunity. And do you know what I mean? And then I guess Ev is probably the first person I think. I mean, obviously I come across these boys when I was in hospital and that. But everyone rides front foot prosthetic and I ride back foot prosthetic because that's the way I've always ridden a snowboard. And so I think for a while I was looking at if I was going to have to learn to ride switch or goofy or whatever. And I come across Ev and rides also back foot prosthetic. So
does your prosthetic have like cool technology in it, like the shock absorber or anything like that? I
use a BioAdapt foot, which is made by Mike Schultz, who's on the American team. Again, a very, very well decorated athlete. He was a ex-snowmobile racer and sort of motocrosser and that. And had his accident, lost his leg above the knee, and then made his own prosthetics to allow him to carry on doing the sports that he wanted to do. But yeah, mate, he's a G. He makes some good stuff and is used by pretty much everyone on tour. Really, isn't it?
I saw him a couple, probably about 2.5 months ago, and he had one of the prosthetics that you're talking about on the table, and I was just checking it out and admiring it, and it's brilliant.
Simple but effective.
He's a very clever bloke.
Yeah.
James, how do you prepare mentally for, let's say, the upcoming Winter Paralympics?
This one's been a bit different for me because I've just had a child. So like normally I'm like super focused in the gym every day, getting on snow, like really getting it dialed in. I've not had as much of an opportunity this run into the games because I've had a baby to look after. But yeah, for me, it's just trying to tick everything off and getting everything done, making sure you've done everything you need to do to turn up at the games and be ready to go,
You're going out for the last run of the day, and you have to make it count. So how does that switch in your brain to, okay, let's not try to crash on this one?
Because the thing is, the way you find the limit is by finding the limit. So if you find the limit quick enough and you got another run to do it, then you hopefully can just rein it in a little bit.
But you're never thinking about crashing. That's never if you're thinking about crashing, it's going to happen. You know what I mean? So that's never in your thought process.
No. And if I ride at like 80%, 85, 90%, 95, 99%, it's hard because I get told like calm down, and then I don't do anything, and then I get told off for doing nothing, which is fair enough because I wasn't. But the only way my brain works like that is just to go and give it everything. So obviously consistency's been quite a big thing that I've had to work on the last 4 years or so. And not crashing so much. They do catch up with you, don't they? We're getting older again, aren't we? It's not as easy to come back from injuries and surgeries and stuff as it was a few years ago. So I've got to try and be a bit cognizant of that. But hey ho, just working things out with the boys, having training runs and working through stuff for you.
Just time on snow, isn't it?
Time on snow,
getting in courses and the more time you do it, the more you get tuned into it. You know what I mean?
Do you guys train together?
Yeah, pretty much always.
Yeah, and then on training days in comps, we'll always run a heat together because we know each other's riding and we pretty safe. So we like to get in and race each other. It's always good to
get close
get in with the boys. Yeah,
get the rust off in it.
Yeah,
but and we can talk to each other and that whilst we're going down and make sure we're figuring stuff out.
What do you think it takes to make it to a Paralympics?
Lots of crashes.
Hard work. I feel like, especially snowboard, Paralympics, it's just hard work, innit? You just got to put in the hard work. And then being committed and really want it. Do you know what I mean? Especially snowboarding, you do have the crashes and you do get hurt. If you don't want it, you're not gonna stick it out. You know what I mean?
Like you say, you have to have some sort of sacrifice, or you have to change something up, especially coming from where we come from, to go and do this. And you got to want it. You got to love it, mate. If you're riding stressed, you're barely riding good. If you ride angry, you ride good, but that's different from being stressed. I feel happy with what you're doing and happy while you're there. And mate, everyone else is ripping. All the other people and all the other teams, especially in the last 4 years, cannot tell you how much the level's gone up with everyone's riding. It can be very frustrating not being where you think you're going to be and learning all the new techniques and things you need to do and getting all the tools in the bag to be better. That isn't just something that happens from one day to the next, is it? Sometimes you can learn stuff real quick and get on with it real easy. And then there's other times where you bang your head against the wall all the fucking time, and then eventually one day you see some improvement, it starts getting better. And if you're not truly happy while you're there, you ain't gonna ever get anywhere, are you? And what's the point turning up if you don't want to win, or at least try to? Or you come in there to come last? Even if you do, that's fine, but that's not where you want to start your day, is it? Thinking about. So
is incredible. Both of your mindsets are incredible. Just listening to you talk about the stuff you have to overcome. And you brought up a point that I never even really thought about because I'm a summer athlete. So we have some similar things when it comes to training. But I can just go out in my backyard and practice. You can't just go to your backyard and go train. what kind of sacrifices are you making, or where do you have to go train so you can kind of stay at the elite level that you're at?
I moved to Switzerland when I first joined the team and spent 2-3 years out in Switzerland, in a mountain town with the boys, going out, riding with everyone, learning from people that are better than me. And when you're not riding in the winter, in the summer, skating, dude. Skating, riding bikes, going motocross, going downhill riding, anything that's that kind of, keeps you sharp.
James, are you doing kind of the same thing in the summer?
Yeah, a lot. Well, it used to be a lot of skateboarding, and it's a little bit less last summer. But yeah, skating's the one. It just crosses over so well, and just getting in the gym for me is like the two that. And then we travel to the other side of the world, or like we got either the glaciers in Europe. Years gone by have been really good, but they're sort of getting a little bit worse. So we travel. Australia, Chile, Argentina. We're training with the Dutch, the Swiss, the Japanese, and the Australians.
So your competition will be there.
Yeah, but that's the best way to train. You train on the border cross with everyone else, man.
And a lot of them are our homies, mate. Do you know what I mean? They're our boys and stuff, and so it is good to train with them.
Yeah. It's interesting with archery. There'll be times like I'll be coaching other teams, not like purposely, but let's say, I've been traveling with the same groupish of people for 13 years all over the world, shooting these events. So you show up and one guy's struggling, or, there's a girl from India who has no arms that shoots now. And there'll be a time where like I'm literally helping her with her equipment right before she has to go shoot. And people are like, why are you helping the competition? I'm like, they still have to outshoot you. They still have to outshoot you. But at the end of the day, if we don't pass on our knowledge and stuff like that to everybody, then it's going to die with you. And the whole point is,
I think that's where the Paralympics is different, isn't it, to other things, like I think there is that everyone's got other things going on disability wise and other stuff, and everyone's there, and they know how hard it is to be there, so everyone helps out. Like it's the same on ours. Like we'll go down the course and you inspect the course before a race, and people will come along. We're like talking about lines, and everyone's helping each other out.
Go get chairlifts up with some of the other lot, and we'll be talking about everything.
It don't you're not gonna like hide stuff. You know what I mean? Like it just. It don't happen.
You've not spent your whole life trying to do something that someone else is going to take away from you, ultimately, isn't it? And everyone's gone through their journey to get there. And they're rad people, dude. They are rad people. And they work hard and they rip. And so sometimes you learn from them and sometimes they learn from you. And it's like that.
I think that's one of the underlining amazing things that comes from the Paralympics, Winter or Summer Paralympics, is that genuine friendship and willingness to just help each other out, and whoever is the best on that day is the person who wins. And it's interesting to me because even the people who don't win will still celebrate with the person who won. High five them, good job.
Mate, 100%. 100%.
It's better, like in snowboarding, everyone's stoked, man.
Yeah.
It's
quite funny sometimes when you see
you can be fuming, you can be angry, but like everyone's still stoked,
Especially when people are doing like surprise podiums and people that people that you care about a lot, and then they have a really good day and they're on it, and everyone's cheering for them, and it's sick.
Yeah,
it's completely different to what used to be from bike racing and that. Most of them are.
Speaking from a guy who, I race against everybody when it comes to car stuff, and I usually race against like the best in the world at it. I'm the only one with a disability in their class. Nobody wants to lose to a guy without arms, right? But in the Paralympics, it's just amazing, a totally different animal, and it's kind of like a magnet. You're just drawn into it because of that atmosphere, which you really don't get any other places. So
yeah.
So James, you make your first games and you go to where you're competing, and you walk out of the or the Paralympic Village. What's going through your mind?
I was just stoked to be there. Like, I'm definitely, like, looking back now, I was obviously there. I wanted to win, but like, I wasn't in that. I wasn't, like, looking back now, I wasn't at that level that I needed to be at. but I was like, for me, it was really hard to get there. Like we just like this team was just being set up, the funding weren't really there, and I really struggled with all that. I'd had my kit stolen. So there was a lot of things I had to overcome to get there. So I was just absolutely stoked to be there. You know what I mean? So I took it all in. I just like embraced it all and just loved being in that environment. You know.
Ollie, we're going to ask you the same question. Your very first games, you're looking down the slope. What's your feelings? What's your emotions like?
To be honest, mate, he said it all. Obviously, I came in at a lucky time where, you know, if I'd waited maybe another 6 or so months to try and get on the team, I would have missed that loop and that opportunity to go to Beijing. I was stoked in a matter of ways just to make it there in the first place. I just wanted to go and have a fucking good day, mate, and ride the best I could. And I knew that border cross wouldn't necessarily be my jam right now because I'm so many tools to learn, but I was definitely good enough to throw it in the mix in bank slalom, and accidentally a day later or two, they'll turn it up, didn't we, boy? You know? So I was happy about that, mate.
One of the cool things about making the games is you get apparel and you get outfitted so everyone matches. Do you guys have any cool swag laying around that you want to donate to a summer athlete?
It's normally warm stuff because it's a winter sport.
You know, I mean, we were given quite a lot of stuff the last games. We'll get a load of kit. I'm going to swap loads of kit this time around with the other teams and the other people. I kind of kept a load of kit from first games just because you kind of do, don't you?
Do you guys still wear any of it occasionally, like from your Beijing?
Yeah, I'll like some of the warm kit. Like when we're out snowboarding, I'd definitely have like the puffer and some of the warm stuff on.
The gym shorts
and gym stuff. It's good for gym stuff. You know what I mean,
mate? The bag is the best thing I've had.
Yeah, the bags.
Is there anything specifically about this swag kit that you're about to get tomorrow that you're looking forward to?
I'm more excited about the bag of goodies that the kind people at Adidas were kind enough to donate us that are also over there. I'm happy about that.
What cool stuff did you get over from them?
Couple of skate trainers each to me.
Some nice skate chinos.
Some Adidas skate stuff.
Some hoodies, jackets.
Yeah.
Mate, sorted us right out.
Yeah.
Happy about that.
Well, let's focus on because I can't believe how fast time went. Let's focus on Italy. Have you guys both been to Italy before?
Yeah. We had a race in Cortina 3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
Are you going to be on the same slope, same course?
It's similar. Yeah, I think the course will be a bit different, but it'll be in the same sort of area. So it will have bits that are sort of similar to when we raced last time, which is good. Yeah, I podiumed. I got a gold and a silver there. So I like the place.
Yeah, you did good there, didn't you?
Yeah.
Did you guys know that this the 2026 Winter Paralympics is the 50th anniversary for the Winter Paralympics?
I didn't know that.
I had no idea.
You guys are making history already.
That's what we do.
It sounds like you guys are looking forward to going to Italy and competing. You know, I for all the joking and stuff aside, I feel like you guys are really focused about what you're going to do for Great Britain and making everybody proud there. What both of you can answer this question is, what do you guys hope to achieve at the 2026 Winter Paralympics?
For me, and this is the whole season. This is my last season competing, and I've got into it just going, I want to enjoy myself. So I've done that all the World Cups. I've just gone into it like with no obviously expectation, but like I've not set a goal. I've just wanted to go there, ride my best, and enjoy it. And for me, that's what I want to do at the games.
Leave nothing on the table.
Yeah, I've done all the training. I've done everything I need to do. I want to get there and enjoy everything.
It's interesting because going into Paris, in my mind, like I knew that was going to be my last games. And instead of having all that pressure of I gotta win, I took that into family time and just making memories and enjoying my last games.
Yeah,
and I felt like it totally helped because when I was competing against other archers, I was completely in relaxation mode.
Absolutely, that's where I want to be. And for me, like my wife's going to be there. my new kid's going to be
That's
there.
gonna be cool, innit?
which is rad, you know.
Mate, I'm buzzing, bruv, for it. To be fair, like Jay said, like I'm stoked to be able to have friends and family coming out. You know, we don't get a lot of opportunity to have our stuff televised or have people come out and see what we do. It just doesn't happen. And so, you know, we do all of this traveling for not even just this year, but the last 4 years and all through the summer. And we're away a lot. And it'd be really nice for people to be able to come and see what we're doing. A rest is a rest, isn't it? You know, if it's a good day, it's a good day. If it's not, it's not. But it'd be nice to just go and like share that with good people, you know?
You're in the right mindset for sure for this. That's why you guys are as good as you are. Which brings me to another question for James: is what are you hoping that your legacy is after you retire?
Like I would like to legacy. I don't really know, to be honest.
You've done all right though, ain't you, boy?
But like for me, it's more leaving. I want to get into coaching anyway, and I want to stay with the team and get the new guys up and hopefully get them competing for medals and doing well in games. So obviously leaving the team in a good place and then helping that team in a different way is important to me. Do you know what I mean? Because we help set it up, like keep it going, you know, and get more people into it and yeah, hopefully push the team to the next level, you know, where we're dominating every race, every time, you know.
James, what does sport mean to you?
I don't know, like I suppose like sport is quite a wide category in it. Like for me, snowboarding has given me everything, you know. Like I've been able to travel. I've got some of my best mates that I race with and can train with and compete with. So it's given me all of that, and it's given me opportunities to move to France, and me and my wife to move to France, and it's given me a lot, you know. So I owe the especially para snowboard loads.
It's a good humbleness for life, isn't it? Sport, especially snowboarding or skating and all them things. It's a good life lesson and stuff, and I've met some of the best people I've ever met thanks to that. It's sacrifice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of one form or another, and believing in your own mission. Like,
and that's what we tried to put into like the team environment, is making sure like you're accountable to yourself and you put in the hard work when no one else is looking, you know.
Mate, I'd go and drive through the night to come to training camps and arrive in Switzerland or Saas-Fee or something at 4 a.m. after driving 12 hours from England, still working before I got funding and all that stuff. You know, my first thing, I'm up at like 6. What would we go on the glacier? 6. So I've had 2 hours sleep, mate. And then go and ride full that day, try and get an early night, but still working, still running, trying to run a business, but still. That's what you got to do, mate. And everyone's journey is different to however you get there, but it's full of at least some of that, isn't it? If not all of it.
We have a very similar journey. I didn't have nothing. I had 2 kids and no job, and had to figure out how to make it work. And it took a while. It took a while to get to where I did make it, where I could get funding just to breathe a little bit. Otherwise, everything is out of pocket. And I can only imagine you driving 12 hours after working and then driving 12 hours to go train or to go to an event. And that's probably all on your own dime at that point. And it gets expensive rather quickly, especially if you don't have it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. But you made it work, didn't you? You know, you did what you needed to get it done, and you did. And that's rad, mate.
It's a pretty... And I see it with you guys too. It's a pretty amazing thing what a person's mind can do when they believe in it and they need to do it and they want to do it. And they don't take no for an answer. I mean, look what you guys have accomplished. And you're still getting better and doing amazing things every single day and every single winter game. So I think it just speaks volume of who people can become when they want to.
For real.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. He said it, sir.
Ollie, in one word, what does it take to do what you do? You want James to answer this one?
Perseverance.
There you go.
Perseverance is good. All right, Ollie, you
Thank you.
sticking with the same answer?
He concurs.
I concur. That's 2 words though. See, I can't. 1 word answers for me. I'm bad.
So listen, guys, I am doing this kind of like this friendly competition for everybody that comes onto the show. And I want to know if you guys would like to participate. The game's called Zero Chill. I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and you're going to, without thinking, without over analyzing, you can just kind of make things up, but we just want to see how fast you can get through the questions. And
Okay.
they can be one-worded answers, first thing that pops into your head. Is it something you guys would be interested in doing?
Sure.
It could be dangerous.
It could be dangerous.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we'll give it a go.
Well,
We'll
That's
give it a
okay.
crack, mate.
We call this game Zero Chill. So, Ollie and James, are you ready?
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1, and we're action. We're going. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
This is Zero Chill with Ollie and James. One part of Italy you're excited to see.
Food.
One part of Italy. You said one part of Italy.
James, what's your answer?
I don't know. Wine? You go food, I'll go wine again.
One part of the Paralympic village you're excited to see.
The accommodation. Like, I just want to see what it's like.
I'm desperate to see what that's like.
Yeah.
One Italian food you can't wait to eat.
Pizza.
I'm gluten free. I can't eat none of it.
What? Espresso or cappuccino?
Cappuccino.
Espresso. Double.
One thing viewers will love about para snowboarding.
The crashes. I'm sure there'll be some crashes.
Lots of them with me featuring, I'm sure.
95%. Keep it there. If you had to switch to a different para winter sport, which one are you choosing?
Sledge hockey. Looks well fun.
Yeah. I'd have to second that, actually.
All the rest of them are hard work, aren't they?
Yeah. Maybe curling.
Curling. Oh, yeah.
The toughest thing about your training.
I like the
Travel.
crashing.
Oh,
One
I'm all right
thing-
with that.
Fair.
Maybe yours should be rehabbing after the crash.
Yeah, do a lot of
that. One thing you do to relax.
I like a sit down. A good old fashioned sit down.
You do, don't
Oh, I
you?
love a sit down. Yeah.
Good old bit of staring at the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bit of peace and quiet.
All right. What about your hype song before a race?
Drum and bass, bruv.
Yeah, you got to have some drum and bass or UK garage.
Or some heavy metal, yeah. But yeah, UK garage is good too, eh?
Your pre-race ritual or superstition?
Yeah, a nervous wee before going.
Nervous wee.
I wouldn't say I have rituals, but yeah, you always need a nervous wee before racing.
And finally, what does it take to be your best?
Everything. Takes everything. You got to do everything right. Got food, lifestyle, gym, training. Like everything's got to be. You got to do everything right to
Everything.
be your best.
I think Ollie said
And
it the
crashes.
best. And crashes.
Yeah.
Ollie said it the best when he said no stress or no pressure or making sure everything is good on the home front.
It's very true.
But you got to do everything to be able to be like that, don't you?
It's true.
One doesn't
Gotta-
exist without the other.
Got to have all your ducks in a row.
Quack.
I don't have any more questions. I think it's been awesome to have you guys on the show, and I wish you all the best for sure.
Thank you,
Thanks,
sir.
boss.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And open invitation to come to the U.S. if you want to strap yourself into 3,000 horsepower. Okay.
We got the thumbs up. Thumbs up.
He's got thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
What?
That's,
What?
I don't-
I can't do
that's a
that.
wrap.
Mic drop.
I've always wanted to do that.
And you've been listening to What Does It Take? A podcast brought to you by Rising Phoenix, alongside the Milano Cortina 2026 Paralympic Winter Games. If you like what you've listened to and want to know more about Rising Phoenix, check out the details in our show notes. This is a Harder Than You Think production. This episode is brought to you by P&G, a proud partner of the Paralympic movement.